Welcome in, hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. It is another Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest. My co-host, Andrew Bell, is with me. We're live here from the beautiful Scottsdale Ice Den. It's really fun, Andrew, to come up here on the second Wednesday of every month now. We go to College Bar, which is great because we're on the ASU campus, your old stomping ground. And then we come up here to Scottsdale, and now we have a whole different thing going on. We're up here in the party room, and we can see both sides of the rink. There's action going on, the Kachinas and the Coyotes development program, and everybody going at it out there. So the Bobcats, let's not forget about them. So great to be out here at the Ice Den in Scottsdale. Your thoughts, first of all, on last weekend and the opening night for NCAA hockey here in the Desert Southwest?
I thought, it's obviously great, first of all, just to have hockey back in general. I thought, opening weekend, when I first got there, there was an hour before the puck drop, and there was a line all the way stretching back. I know they don't open the gates till I believe it's about half an hour before. But, it was a big student section. The student section was filled, and people know about the hockey team now. And I know, that place fills up pretty quickly with kind of the confines there. But it was good to see, a big crowd and people coming out to, check out some hockey and check out ASU. I thought that was really cool to see when I was walking in. But as for the game themselves, I think it has to be a little disappointing if you're ASU and having a split with Mercyhurst. That's a game that I'm sure, you can only control what you can control, and it's only moving forward now, and you're at 500. But I'm sure that's a game that they just hope, looking back, at the end of the season, a few months from now or 5 months down the line, that game doesn't come back to haunt them in some way, shape, or form. Because all in all, I thought ASU, it was 9 freshmen for Mercyhurst, and I thought ASU was the better hockey team. So, I thought they outplayed them both nights, controlled zone time, but Coach Powers said they're very opportunistic. You got to give Mercyhurst credit for coming in and picking up a late victory like that and pulling that one out on Friday night. So, it has to be a little tough for the guys on Friday, but they did a good bounce back job, I think, moving forward. Some things obviously improve. It was called pretty tight with the penalties,
especially the stick penalties, right?
But the coaches, the slashings all weekend, and that's nothing against the officials. This is how they were calling it, right. And it was a pretty tight game. But I think that's one of those where you're a player, you got to adjust to how it's being called. And I thought there were some late penalties in that game on Sunday that they might look to avoid, and then just closing out hockey games. Dimitrios, Comanzis talked yesterday and said doesn't matter what lead it is, they had got up to a 3-goal lead at one time. No lead is safe, and that was pretty evident on Sunday too. Mercyhurst almost pulled another one out and pulled another late victory out. But I think the team itself, looked pretty solid. They controlled zone time. Like I said, Friday was kind of one of those head-scratching games where you outshoot the other team, you outplay them, you outwork them, and they still find a way to come out with a victory. And that's credit to Mercyhurst, like I said. But I really thought James Sanchez on that top line looked really good up front. I think I mentioned this with Josh Schaefer, the play-by-play guy for Sun Devil Hockey as well, but he provides a dynamic for that team, that first line, that I don't think they had last year. It's a net front presence. He's really good below the goal line. Their defenseman couldn't move him, and like I said, I know Mercyhurst is a young team, but they couldn't move him off the puck, and he was really good in front of the net. And then just working with Johnny Walker and Dimitrios, Comanzis. I thought on the penalty kill, PJ Morocco looked really good, and the goaltenders, everybody talked about it going into the weekend, but Max Prodzik, Evan DeBrouwer, I think both of them will tell you if you asked them that there's some saves that they feel like they probably should have had. Coach Powers said we need more saves. He just said it pretty bluntly, but I think those guys will show up and stand up for the task that's ahead this weekend with Minnesota State and heading up to Mankato. But so like I said, I think those guys will step up to the task. But all in all, like Coach Powers said, 1-1 and back at 500, and they're off for a big series this weekend. You can only control what's in front of you now.
Okay, and I would look at it the same way. That my thought on this is I always like to throw out a magic number when I look at the beginning of the year. And the reason I throw it out is because it's a non-conference team playing, right? They don't have a conference. They can't win a conference championship. They can't get into a conference tournament. So they got to base it on wins and strength of schedule, right? So last year I said it was going to be 22 that they were going to have to get. This year I said it was going to be 24. And as I look at it, should they have won both of them? Yeah, I think so. Could they have? I believe they could have. And they didn't. But the bottom line of it is you keep reducing that number, right? Every weekend you will go in, you try to take 2 off the number. If you take 1, that's fine. What you can't have is zeros, right? You got to continue to win at least 1 game every weekend. And then hopefully when everything gets added up at the end, you look and you go, hey, we won 24 games and we're a tournament team again.
Yeah, I think that's the big message, and Coach Power said that was the recipe last season. It was pretty evident, but take care of business on your home ice at Oceanside and split on the road. It's tough to win in college hockey at any venue that you play in, and it's going to be pretty evident this weekend going against a really tough Minnesota State team. But, yeah, I think that's the recipe is kind of take care of business on your home ice, split on the road, and everything else will take care of itself. I think that's the mindset that you got to have. Obviously, if you can steal an extra one on the road, they're all for it. You saw ASU do that a couple times last season. But going into this weekend, I think if you're able to come out of Mankato with a split, I think that's huge. For that, you go in 2-2, then you have a little bit more manageable part of your schedule coming up. You go on the road at Air Force, which is still tough. Any road game in college hockey is tough. But if you put yourself in a better position if you're just able to pick up one win this weekend. So, I think that's a recipe kind of for success. And I think as the back half of the schedule kind of unwinds, I think similar to last year where they kind of play a lot of games at the beginning of the year, the back half of the schedule kind of, I think it's, they have more games stacked up on top of each other this year, but it lightens up a little bit. There's a little more time for rest, and that's one of the luxuries that ASU does have as a team that's not in a conference. Some of these conference tournaments are late in the year. I know you were talking with head coach Danny Roy about that kind of playing in a conference, and I think it's really beneficial because you do get to play in a conference tournament, and I feel like the margin of error is kind of lifted a little bit. It's not so tight, but at that same time, that is one luxury that you get is a little bit more time off, maybe a little bit more space. You take that as you want it. Some people said last year it's going to cause rust. Some people said, it's it gives you rest. I think there's that balance. It's all about how you look at it, and at the end of the day, it's however the team plays coming out of the gate, and you can throw in either one of those situations or predicaments. But yeah, like I said, I think that's the recipe. Take care of business at home. Try to split in the road. If you can steal one, steal another one, and win in somebody else's barn, I think that's the name of the game. So it should be interesting throughout the rest of the season, though, to see how the Sun Devil team performs. I actually think talent-wise and defense-wise, talking about some new guys, Sanchez, Willie Neeram, but how about Jack Judson and Jacob Semick, steady as ever as freshmen. They didn't blink as freshmen out there in their first two games. They did not look like freshmen whatsoever. So they were really solid out there. And like I said, this team might have even more talent than last year. I think the saves come along with it from the goaltenders. The defense played well last weekend. There really wasn't too many grade A chances for Mercyhurst, and I think they could get off and rolling with some solid goaltending play that steps up down the stretch. And it's still early, obviously, so it should be a fun season.
Okay, I'll wrap up that part of it by saying I still think it's going to come down to the third and fourth lines. I think lines 1 and 2, we know what we have. Third and fourth lines are going to have to win some battles, especially this weekend. They're going to have to be the difference makers, I think, because I think it's going to be pretty much a draw for the top 6 forward lines. And the defense, of course, pretty strong. When you have a guy like Kavita Janssens who doesn't even get into the rotation, and Connor Stewart's out there, and then you're playing without Jacob Wilson. Now he's finally back in there, but there's some really good Max Balance and some really good defensemen that are going to have a hard time cracking the lineup, and it just doesn't seem fair, but that's what you need in a roster full of championship caliber players, right? You just got to have depth. All right, so we talked about NCAA stuff. Let's take a quick couple of minutes here and talk a little bit about NHL stuff, because tomorrow night's a big rivalry already starting up early in the season. The Golden Knights are coming to play the Coyotes. The Coyotes are off to a 0-2-0 start. But not because they're bad, right? It's because they ran into the Ducks and lost 2-1. Then they get the reigning Eastern Conference champions and the Boston Bruins in town and lose a 1-0 game. And now the Golden Knights just came off of a loss to Boston at home. Their only loss so far in the season. So you got two teams that are ready to hit head on like a couple of freight trains. Your thoughts on this big game coming up tomorrow night?
I think, it's going to be a fun matchup tomorrow. It's a rivalry matchup. Like you said, it's not because the Coyotes are playing poorly. They outshot both of their opponents. And if you're a Coyotes fan, you got to be, kicking yourself a little bit going, what does this team have to do to score some goals? And I talked to Seth a little bit about this the other day, but I think the net front presence, I think they've gotten a lot of grade A looks and good opportunities, but it's one thing to have be in front of the goaltender or be, around the goal. It's another thing to be in the goaltender's eyes and block his vision. I haven't seen enough of that kind of be the guy who's going to stand in front of the net and block, block the lanes and kind of prevent goaltender from seeing the puck. And when you're facing guys like Gibson, Tuukka Rask, and even Jaroslav Halak, who's behind him, is a very capable goaltender. Now you got Marc-Andre Fleury. Those guys are some of the best in the game for a reason. I think Gibson carried that Ducks team for a while last year into position at the beginning of the year before he got that injury, and everything kind of sputtered out a little bit for the Ducks towards the end of the season. And the other thing that I was talking with Seth Askelson about, who's a reporter here with Ice Time Hockey Southwest, is those goaltenders, it's the beginning of the year, they're fresh. They're not they have their legs under them, so you're going to see their A game. And on the other side of that, Darcy Kemper's been fantastic for the Coyotes. He hasn't missed a beat from last season. So the Knights are really talented offensively. Can't talk enough about Pacioretty, Stone, Cody Glass, what he's done just stepping in, and seems like he's been playing there for 3 years already. So I think it'll be an interesting matchup, because I think the Coyotes have really stepped it up, and they did last year too, but they're a really solid defensive hockey team. You have veteran defensemen like Nicholas Hjalmarsson, Jason Demers, Alex Goligoski. They're really solid defensively, and then you put Darcy Kemper on the back end. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a low-scoring game. With that being said, the Knights are so dangerous that they can break it open on any defense core on any given night. They've shown that before. So it should be a good matchup. Like I said, the net front presence for the Coyotes, getting guys in the goaltender's eyes. You got to get in front of Marc-Andre Fleury. You got to make sure that he can't see the puck. I think that's going to be first and foremost. And we've seen a lot of skill from that top line between Nick Schmaltz, Phil Kessel, and Clayton Keller. Yep. I think pardon me, not Nick Schmaltz, Derek Stepan, Clayton Keller, and Phil Kessel. And I think, that line's looked really good, but I think it's going to take one of those ugly goals to kind of break, maybe one that is a scramble in front of the net, and you just see it go in the back of the net, and you're able to jam one home. I think that will open up some other things and just give the guys on the bench a sense of relief, like, okay, we can score a goal. We're good here, guys. So it should be interesting. And then another thing to talk about, of course, will we see Barrett Hayton tomorrow night? I think that's everyone's been monitoring that going into this Coyotes season. Lawson Krause looks like he might have an injury that was being discussed the other day. Christian Fischer, I heard earlier this morning, took a puck, caught him up high, and so he might not be in the lineup tomorrow. That's what I was seeing from reports from Morning Skate this morning. Do we see Barrett Hayton? That should be the fun question. If not tonight, when will be the date? If it's not tomorrow night, when will it be? Because I think at some point he's not going back down from everything. He's not going back to juniors. So I think he's here to stay. I think he looked really good in rookie camp, and he looks NHL ready from what I saw in preseason and rookie camp. And it should be fun whenever he makes his debut. It'll be something to monitor.
Okay, two things that I think on the NHL level, after watching NCAA hockey again last week, is that at the NHL level, a goaltender can truly steal a game, right? I don't think you see that a whole lot at the NCAA level, where a goaltender, and we saw one of the best in Joey Decord last year, but Joey didn't really go out and just steal games and shutout type things, although he had 7 shutouts last year. But when I say that, it's like Marc-Andre Fleury, you go down the list, he can steal you a game. And that's something that just you don't see at other levels. And like you said, being fresh out of the gates, fresh legs, that can happen. The other thing I think for the Coyotes, in order to get a W, I think Phil Kessel needs to get on the score sheet, right? He needs to pump in a goal or two, and then all of a sudden I think everything fills in. Because I think there's so much pressure surrounding that team about, hey, you signed Phil, you traded for Phil Kessel, you signed him, you got him here. Now let's see some goals, right? And the first two games that come out, they don't get any goals. So I think once Phil Kessel breaks the ice, so to speak, I think it's going to open things up for that whole team.
Yeah, I think Phil Kessel's impact, and Phil Kessel's been in this league for 10+ years, and he's a veteran guy. Whether he's on the score sheet or not, he's going to go about his business the same way every night. That's kind of the professional mindset that you develop over a decade of playing in the National Hockey League. But yeah, I think as soon as he kind of gets that monkey off his back, I think it'll open up a lot of other things. I also think the special teams as well. Trying to get a goal on the power play is going to be huge. Second line getting in there. I mentioned this to Seth the other day when we were having a discussion off camera and off air, but I think when you have guys like Brad Richardson, who was up playing with some of the top unit guys last year, it tells you how, just how injury prone this Coyotes team was last year. But this is no disrespect to Brad Richardson, but I think he just fits more comfortably on as a fourth line guy. I think that provides depth. I think this team has a lot more depth this year, and this isn't even a team that has to be top 10 in the league in scoring goals. If they're top 15, top 20, I think they have a good chance to be a playoff team.
They're so good defensively.
Yeah, they're so good defensively, and like I said, Kemper on the back end. You get Antti Ranta coming back. I think Kemper has done enough, and there's people who might think otherwise because Antti Ranta has proven that he's capable when he hasn't been injured. But I think Darcy Kemper has kind of taken that job, and you can't say enough good things about the guy. I mean, he just stepped up last year. He stepped into a situation where the team was looking for somebody to step up, and he nearly carried that team that was littered with injuries last year. Of course, they got a little bit healthier towards the end of the season with some guys coming back, but he carried them for a solid month of the season, and almost when those guys came back, it almost led them to a playoff spot. So he has been fantastic in net. Can't say enough good things about him, but a lot of depth at the goaltending position between Ranta, Kemper, even Aiden Hill down in Tucson, a couple other guys who they have in the system. So defensively in net, they're solid. And like I said, you don't even have to be a top 10. You don't have to be a Toronto, a Winnipeg, a Tampa Bay, one of those teams that lights up the scoreboard, puts up 5 goals a night. If they score 3 goals a night, they got a shot with the way Darcy Kemper plays every day. So it should be interesting. And like I said, a really good offensive team in Vegas coming in too, with all 4 lines that are rolling and playing well right now.
Okay, well, we've got 2 great guests coming in from Grand Canyon. We said we'd color the show purple a little bit, so we got Danny Roy coming in next. He'll sit down with us and talk a little bit GCU, men's D1 ACHA, that's a mouthful, hockey. Then we're also going to go over to the deck rink at GCU on campus and visit with the women's program. I know you had a chance to see them play ASU last weekend. ASU, by the way, off to a 6-0 start, which is the best in their young history, but 6-0 is 6-0 no matter who you're playing and when you're playing it.
Yeah, I think the ASU, the women's team, Lindsay's done a great job of bringing in a lot of talent. I got a chance to go over to a practice the other day, and I was talking with their coaches afterwards, and just completely different from when I was there. Just so much speed on that team, a lot of skill. I think they're really gelling. It's tough last year. They brought in a lot of freshmen this year, but it's mostly freshmen and sophomores. Yeah. But there was a lot of freshmen on that team last season, and it doesn't matter how good your players are coming in. You're just in a college life. There's a lot of challenging things, especially with the ice time. They have those 7 a.m. practices and maybe some late games, a lot of travel. You never know how freshmen are going to react to that type of stuff, but I think going into sophomore year, you're kind of just seeing the development of that program. And on top of that, talking about ASU with the 6-0 start, I think Coach Rossi's done a great job over at GCU as well. And her teams played more than well enough to beat ASU last weekend. I think. Well,
they outshot them, and they only played 2 games. So
yeah, they outshot them, and I thought from everything I heard and that I've heard and seen from people, it sounds like they played a pretty good hockey. Just sometimes you fall on the wrong side of things. So I think she has that program trending in the right direction as well. Both coaches have done an excellent job of, kind of recruiting, bringing players in, and doing things the right way to create, lasting teams that are going to be not only good this year but for years to come. So, and then on top of that, they're doing a great job in the community as well, which is one of the most important things off the ice. They had development camps. They're helping a lot of their players are helping with the Arizona Kachinas, just doing a lot of stuff off the rink that is even more important than what's going on the ice and during their games. So I think they've both done a great job in that regard, and I hope it continues to grow because both coaches, have a lot more in store for both their programs.
All right, let's take a quick break. Let's come back with Danny Roy. We'll follow that up with NATALIE Rossi. And then you and I will come back and wrap things up right here from the Ice Den in Scottsdale. We'll be right back with Coach Danny Roy. All right, welcome in, hockey fans from the Desert Southwest. It's another Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest. Well, it's the start of your first history making. I was out a couple of weeks ago to see History in the Making when you guys played UNLV at home. Got Danny Roy with me, the head coach, director of hockey at Grand Canyon University. So give me your thoughts so far, Danny. You played 3 games at the ACHA D1 level as an official D1 program. What's it been like? What have you thought about it?
I think we're right where we need to be, right. Where we've expected to be. We've got a really strong, solid team. Now it's just a matter of experience at the level of play. We're not playing teams that forecheck you, and then when you beat them, they stop back checking on you. Everybody at this level is hard on you the whole time, and getting our guys to kind of understand that is probably the biggest part. But we've gotten better and better. Each of these three games and each week in practice, and now we're starting to really fine-tune our philosophy for our system and how we want to play. The more we work on that, the better we're going to get, and I definitely think we have a strong team.
So coming right out of the chutes, you get UNLV at home, then you get UNLV on the road twice. It doesn't get much tougher than that in the western part of the United States and ACHA D1 hockey. But what did you learn from those games?
I learned that we can play against a fast team as long as we step in the lane, slow the speed down, and play a physical game. Right. When we didn't do that, they walked all over us, and when we did that, we were able to carry a lot of the play. And you could see the shot margin was more even in those periods. So, we know what not to do and what we need to do to be a strong team at this level, and now it just takes consistency at that.
You know, anytime you make a jump up, and you've seen some jump ups, right? the whole development of your program has been jumping up. You need to learn the different levels of things, and you need to recruit guys that will fit that role. From what I saw, you have the right guys in the lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have the right guys in the lineup, and the guys who weren't in that home game got to play in Vegas, and those were the right guys in the program. So all the way through the lineup, we have players that belong here. We have some surprise walk-on players, and now everybody's just hungry to play more hockey at this level. So. We're only 3 games in. It's in game-wise, it's a short season for us, but it's still a long season at the level, and I think having the shorter, lighter schedule is going to keep us fresh and not too banged up through the rest of the season here.
Okay, so when I saw you guys first, you came out flying at home, your opener. You built up a lead, and then you succumbed to the lead, I guess, in the third period. Was that a learning experience, too, to have something like that happen to you? Or would you prefer, obviously, that it didn't happen? But what have you done from that night and said, this is what we have to do differently?
Well, you'd always prefer not to give up a 4-goal lead in the third period in any game you're in. But I don't think one person in the ACHA had us in a 4-goal lead going into the third period against UNLV, and I don't think they even had it a 1-goal loss in an overtime game. So I think we've definitely got some teams looking at us and not overlooking us when they have us on their schedule now. But basically after a situation like that, it's just, guys, like, it takes 60. All right. It takes 60 minutes. Our game plan was 3 20s. Yep. Focus on them 20 minutes at a time, and unfortunately we didn't come out in that third 20-minute period, and we didn't manage the puck, and we didn't do what we talked about in the locker room that intermission. So we went to Vegas. We played much better on the back end of that game. Didn't come out strong in the start. So now it's about figuring out how to put those two together and pushing through the whole game.
Okay, so big rivalry game again for you, the Cross Town Rivalry with ASU coming up this weekend. You've had a chance to see them play a little bit. You've had a chance to see some tape, I'm sure. What do you expect out of this weekend?
I expect a team that doesn't quit. They're going to be consistent all the way through. They're going to play hard. I would expect they wouldn't take too many penalties. Every time we've played ASU and played Tate, it's been a low penalty game, right. And especially in their favor. I know they've taken quite a few penalties in the games that they played against UNLV and stuff, but it seems to always be a different story when it's us against them on the other side. So our special teams is super strong. It's been clicking both on the power play and the penalty kill. I think UNLV in 3 game only had, I think they only went 1 for 25 against us. So we've been playing well thanks to goaltending and stuff. But I wouldn't expect anything other than a hard-fought game from Tate's guys. He's always got his guys buying in and pushing hard and working hard all the way through the lineup. So it should be what it is, and that's a rivalry game.
Okay, so that's at the D1 level, but there's also a D2 rivalry series going on this weekend with ASU, which starts Thursday night. And you just finished up a women's rivalry game against ASU. So as a director of hockey, overlook the whole program at GCU and tell me how proud you are of where everybody's gotten, because all of your teams are very competitive and are winning games at some point.
Yeah, no, it's exciting to see. It's exciting to see our teams getting stronger and the program growing. I didn't get a chance to watch the women's games this weekend, but to see that they outshot ASU pretty heavily in both games means that now he's got a group of girls on our team that are strong and are buying in and playing hard, and now it just takes a little more development and that team getting older and more experienced with each year. So if they keep going that route, I think they're gonna start really clicking and putting stuff together. And then yeah, like you said, we have D2 playing ASU. So I mean, it's gonna be. I'll be able to watch Thursday night game. Won't get to watch Fridays since we'll be on the ice playing at Oceanside. But yeah, it'll be nice to see some of those guys who came from the D3 team and haven't gotten experience playing ASU. They've only had to play NAU, so they get a chance to do that and try and push this crosstown thing a little harder.
All right, I want to take a break here in a minute, but before we get there, I want to ask you a little bit about the development. I've talked to everybody this summer about the development of hockey in the Desert Southwest. You and I talked 4 years ago when you were starting this all up, and in your wildest dreams, did you imagine that there were going to be 4 strong ACHA D1 teams in the Desert Southwest this quickly?
I don't want to say yes, but I don't want to say no either. I mean, I know I'm very confident in what we were able to build.
Right.
I think it just takes the vision and it takes the dedication and passion for it, and that's. I mean, I get to do what I love every single day, and it hasn't been super difficult in that way. I mean, obviously it's a lot of work to put into it, but when you have that vision and you're geared towards getting there, no, I mean, you look at all these other programs that are rolling right now, and you got the same thing at the head of those. So, I mean, Tate had a great year coming into camp and getting a lot of players this year. I would say a lot of that had to do with what Greg did at the NCAA level and put the school on the map more as a hockey school now. But Chad's up there in the top 12 right now, should be a top 10 team, and UNLV's strong again this year. So no, I think I would love to see an NAU team at D1 just to make things even easier on us. So hockey's big in this area. It's big in Las Vegas. We were just there and talking to Dana Lane with UNLV's broadcast there, and how they got the Henderson rink going up pretty soon, and that's a big part of the Knights developing hockey there in Las Vegas. So when you have these parts of the country where NHL people are retiring and hockey communities retiring or moving to, it's almost a no-brainer, like to have the sport grow and flourish like it is.
Makes sense. Let's take a quick break. Let's jump back in and talk specifically about your team and have you throw out some of the guys that have made the impact and guys that have maybe surprised you. We'll be right back with one more segment with Danny Roy.
In 1998, Bell Road in North Scottsdale was barely more than desert landscape. Now, 20 years later, what a difference. Our programs have developed junior Coyotes and Arizona Bobcats hockey players, elite figure skaters, as well as skaters that just want to have fun. Our partners prepare you on and off the ice, and we entertain you in the newly restyled 18 Degrees. The Ice Den Scottsdale has been the official practice facility of the Arizona Coyotes and your home for hockey in the Valley. The Ice Den, your home for hockey, skating, and most of all, fun.
All right, we're back in here at Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest. By the way, we are still at the Ice Den, Scottsdale. We're happy to be here on the second Wednesday of every month. Live audience coming up in November, so we're looking forward to that. But we wanted to get Danny out here and kind of make him the guinea pig for us and see how things were going. I owed you one because the last time we tried to highlight your program, we had all kinds of technical difficulties, so it's time to get things right with GCU and get things rolling. So thanks for making the trip over here to Scottsdale.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, let's dig into the Lopes roster at the D1 level. Tell me some of the guys that you thought were going to make an impact first.
Well, let's start from the back end up, and Mike Barabash has had two solid games. Unfortunately, due to some cramping and dehydration, he broke down in that home game.
Right.
So thankfully, it was nothing serious. It was just a matter of rest and fluids and getting back into it. And he played a heck of a game out in Las Vegas for us on Saturday night. And unfortunately, we were able to pull a win out for him. But our other goaltender, Chad Duran, had a heck of a game on that Friday night on the travel day there. I mean, without him in the first period, it's probably a different game for sure, right, going the rest of the way there. So goaltending's huge for us, and that's big right there. We got a junior goaltender and a freshman goaltender, which means we got some years behind those guys right now. So that's big for us. That gives the guys confidence. And defensively, we ended up throwing Kramer back on D.
Okay.
Out at UNLV weekend, we threw him. We were going to move him back up again. He likes playing forward, but having him back there was just an important way for us to get the puck out of the zone.
He's such a skilled player both ways, isn't he? I mean, it's really hard to not keep him on D, but then again, it's really hard not to let him go full force on offense as well.
Yeah. Well, he's fast and he can get in on the forecheck. He's got one quick release and hard shot. He might be a utility guy depending on where we need him, but I would like to see him at forward and get comfortable there. And I would like our defensemen to get a few more reps in where they are. So, Colin Madrid has been a solid defenseman for us. Our freshman defenseman. Who else is we got Leaf Murphy, who's able to contribute a little bit there on the defensive back end. I mean,
you go right down the list.
We go down the list on defense. I mean, Travis Burrow's a big body back there, and he's being physical and he's throwing the body and playing solid defensively. We got Drew Cronin from last year blocking shots like crazy. It's tough to get stuff by him all the time, and offensively, I mean, we have some lines that are starting to gel, and you got a line of Declan Carter, Tyler Miller, and Ryan Gill. As the weekend went on out in Las Vegas, they started getting more comfortable together, and we got a transfer from Williston State,
okay.
Matt Mezek, who he's relentless on the forecheck. He'll sneak on you and get turnovers and cause some odd man rushes there, and his line mates have been Jeff Payne and Brett Ruiz. And I mean, we could probably have an entire show of just going through what we have this year, and it's just every single player on the lineup we've been happy with, and if we've gotten down on them and asked them to do more, they've definitely stepped up and pushed a little harder. So if they're out of the lineup one night and they go back in, they're much better the next night. So we got a good group. They're all behind each other. There hasn't been any kind of pointing fingers or griping on the bench when we're down. Everybody stays pretty poised. Everybody's ready to go and not give up on any kind of night. And they seem to be able to take some of the criticism and turn it into making themselves better every time. So.
Okay, so as a coach and a former goaltender, opening night, you know you're going to overtime at the very end, and the cramping comes in for Michael, and you know you got to take him out of the game, and you're shorthanded. What's going through your head? You got a new goaltender jumping in. Your opening night at the D1 level, all of a sudden your starting goaltender's got to come out and you're a man short. What's going through your head as a coach?
I mean, number one is hopefully it's nothing serious.
Yeah.
And you lose a goalie like Bash, and then it definitely starts to affect some of those thoughts. But it had Chad coming in, knowing what he's been used to. He's been used to being on the backup end, up in the SJ for Battle Forge. They won the championship. He didn't play a ton of games up there, but he was the backup guy. He knew he had to be ready every night. Didn't matter if he wasn't starting. So I expected that he would be ready. He's pretty calm and mellow. And he seems to be pretty prepared all the time. So it was just a matter of you got it. You have no choice, right?
Yep,
you throw your guy out there. You have the confidence that they're going to make the first save. And as a goalie, that's all that matters is you get out there in a situation like that, especially if it's all the way down to the last minute. It's just make the first save, and then after that you start becoming a goalie again. You shake off those bench legs. So he got out. They won the face-off and got a good shot on him. He made a good save on it, controlled the rebound, and then from there was able to play well. Unfortunately, that power play into the overtime, they were able to crowd the net, and he made one really big save off the first shot, and then I think it may have been Trey or someone who bumped into him and caused him to not be able to react and recover for the second one. So, but he stepped up and had his start and his chance to really show what he does for a full 60. So, yeah, I mean, it's all you can ask of a guy is just to be ready to go all the time.
Okay, so you look at the guys that you brought in. You wanted to get better. You wanted to have competition in great spots. How about the guys that you had for a couple of years that maybe had to take a step backwards? That you maybe had to go to D2 or take a lesser role because better players came in and took over. How has that been, and what's that adjustment been for a coach like yourself?
Well, we do have a few players we have one player who's been with us since we started the program, and he's down with D2 now, and we got a few other guys from last year's D2 team, and they're with D2, and I mean, the message with them is you guys are the leaders. You understand where our shortcomings were with our program and where we lacked and underachieved, and you know where we need to be stronger. And as somebody with that experience going through a growing program, I expect you guys to make sure the new guys understand how to be prepared and ready, and if anybody starts complaining or things like that, shut it down before it starts, and keep everybody focused on the fact that the hockey team is going to be what we make it. So I have a ton of confidence in those guys. They seem to be buying into that role, and practice for them gets better and better for that group. And then for our guys on D1, it's just that it's hockey's hockey. It's competitive.
Yeah.
There's always going to be players coming in every single year, whether I recruit them or not. So the goal is just to be better when you leave than when you got here. And you know, some of that can fall on my shoulders, but the majority of it falls on the players' shoulders of how they're pushing themselves, how they're preparing, and whether or not they're listening, asking questions, coming in and meeting with us coaches when we have open office hours and stuff, and just trying to find a way to be the best that they can be to help the team get better.
All right. I made a bold statement early in the year. I said, I think there's going to be 4 teams that make it to the national tournament in the Desert Southwest. I think all 4 of you guys have a really good shot. You know what it takes at the D1 level. You got to get in the rankings. You got to get inside that top 18 for sure. What's it going to take for Grand Canyon to roll on after just 3 games and make their way into that top 18, top 15 or better?
Well, it's just going to take us doing what we're continuing to do, and that's each week get better, each game be better throughout the night, and each weekend finish off stronger than we started. Our schedule's set up to be strong. The D1 teams we're playing are all near that ranking period. They'll either find their ways in and out of the ranking throughout the year, or they'll continue to move up, like you're seeing right now. But right now with the coaches' polls, we're not on the radar. But we'll see as soon as it turns into computer rankings and the algorithm kicks in, and our strength of schedule starts helping us, because those 3 games against UNLV were not easy. Even though they were losses, I think we played tougher than what the computer is going to give us credit for.
Right.
So I could see us starting to climb into that top 25 pretty quickly, as long as we can just continue to control our schedule and play the way we know we can play and get better and improve. Because I told the guys at the beginning of the year, there's no expectation of going to nationals first year. There's no expectation of necessarily being a ranked team. It's we do what we do. Right. And let's show the league who we are and why we belong here, and let's just ruin everybody else's season. It's kind of a crude way to put it, but that's really what we're here. Yeah, if you want something, you got to take it, and we're not going to act like we necessarily belong here. We're just going to show it.
All right, you heard it from Coach Danny Roy. The Lopes are on the rise. They're looking to make some noise in the ACHA D1. Big news also came about that you guys were joining the conference next year, which is going to be a lot of fun, because the more we can get in this conference, I talked to Coach Powers, and he said, to me, it's so important that you're in a conference. And he said that's one of the things that frustrates him at the NCAA level, is because anytime you can play for a championship, it's a good thing. If you can win your conference, that gives you confidence to move on into a national tournament scene and confidence to maybe win a national championship. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it gives us a guaranteed schedule every year. We know who we're going to play. We know where we're going to go. And we know how many games of conference it's going to be. So that was important for us. Right now as an independent team, it's pretty difficult reaching out to teams, especially when they're in conference games and they got to go, well, we got to schedule our conference first before we look at you guys. But no, that's something we were talking with the league prior to making the jump, and trying to plan that out and work that out with the other schools in the area, and how to make it a conference that's going to be able to work together and still have that championship format that the WCHL has. So I like the way they have it, like the way they set it up with the 5 teams in the West and the 5 teams in the East. And we play everybody on our side, home and home. And then we get to play one of the teams on the East at our rink, and then we have to go travel to one of them. But it's set up to where we know exactly where we're going for the next 5 years, which makes budgeting much easier, scheduling, all that stuff. So it's nice to be able to project the next year without having to guess where we're going to be while we're trying to put together a budget. But yeah, like you said, to be able to tell the guys, all right, we're looking to aim for a conference championship as a goal, instead of just saying, hey, we're trying to get to nationals, because as an independent team, that's pretty much all you're trying to do is reach that tournament, where being able to say you're a conference champion and then go into nationals with that is pretty big. And Greg would know he got to do it. He got to do it with ASU when they won. So it's fun to be able to compete. It makes every game that you play against those teams a little more of a competitive atmosphere.
All right, the last word before we jump over to your women's coach, and I get to go right out to the deck park and see what's going on there. Give us some thoughts on just how big this rivalry is becoming already between you and ASU. You went to ASU, now you're at GCU. How big is this rivalry for you two?
Yeah, I mean, you always, if you're not at your alma mater and you're coaching against them or you're playing against them, you want to show what you learned from them, and then how much better you are. So there's that side of it. I've coached with Tate a few years while I was at ASU, and got to know him really well, and coached with him in his high school program and stuff. And we still kind of go back and forth when we see each other and kind of nag at each other a little bit. And then you got Coach Nellis over there too, who was with us when we started. So you got a few players on the roster who know that side of it, and we don't. You just I always tell everybody, it's like if I was ever playing against my best friend, I may be best friends with them, but I don't want to ever lose to him. Right. And that's pretty similar here. It's not really a hatred. It's just more of a like, we want to be better than you. Right. And we're going to play our hardest game possible. So it's fun. I think going into the game, there will be a lot of tense moments. And then after the fact, once it's all over, then it goes back to everybody being friends again. So that's what I love about it. It's exciting, and definitely look forward to these 4 games against ASU.
All right, you heard it from the coach. We'll come back with NATALIE Rossi, and we'll talk about your women's program. I'll be out there on the weekend. It's another fantastic Friday, and you guys are another feature team with ASU in that rivalry. I'll be out again Saturday, so looking forward to seeing some really good ACHA D1 action. It's been fantastic so far. Thanks for stepping in as always. I always give you the short notice stuff, and you scramble your schedule somehow to get here, so know that it's always appreciated, okay?
Thank you.
Hey, Michael here from M-Drive. My dad, a world-class scientist, actually made M-Drive for himself to stay active and continue enjoying life. And yes, M-Drive supports healthy testosterone, but it's so much more. M-Drive is the everyday supplement to fuel your drive with more energy and more strength. Listen, we'd love for you to try M-Drive too. Visit mdriveformen.com and we'll give you 20% off your first purchase. Just type in the code DRIVE at checkout. Refine your prime with M-Drive.
Welcome in, hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. It's another Hockey Talk. We've already done our segment with Danny Roy and talked about the growth of the men's program. So it's time to get over here and talk Lopes hockey, Lopes women's hockey. NATALIE Rossi is with me. So NATALIE, first of all, welcome in.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're outside this beautiful deck park. It's not ice, but it's the next best thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this and how it has influenced hockey here at Grand Canyon.
So this is our roller rink that the Coyotes donated to GCU, and as you can see, we're utilizing it for practice right now. We're pretty lucky to have it. It's awesome to see kids that don't even play hockey out here just messing around and having a good time, and really getting them to be, this is the way that they're seeing hockey first, and then wanting to see ice hockey a little bit more. So it's definitely increasing our fan base, and our players are utilizing it for some fun and also to work on some systems and face-offs. So.
Okay, so you guys are getting ready for another trip on the road. You're headed up to Colorado. Last weekend was rivalry week for you guys. I thought you guys performed pretty well in the fact that you outshot ASU. You didn't get the outcome that you wanted, but you were very, very competitive and very strong. So tell me a little bit about last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we were really excited. Our goal going into it was aggressive play, puck possession, and controlling what we can control. So, I mean, getting 80 shots against them was definitely what we were looking for over 2 games. I think you can see that we're a different team than we were the past 2 years with that offensive presence that we had. We played about 75% of the games in their offensive, or in our offensive zone. So that's really exciting for us because it's just a different Lopes team than we've had in the past. We had a lot of fun that game too. I mean, it's just amazing to see what we're able to put together in our first 2 games, and then knowing that we're just going to build off of that and get better and better. Our team play is incredible, especially for the first 2 games of the weekend of this season, and we're just looking forward to building.
All right, so tell me a little bit about girls hockey altogether. You work with the young girls, you work with the older girls, you work with the college girls. What's it like to recruit now? It's got to be fun.
It's a ton of fun. I mean, right now what's amazing is when I first moved here, I helped coach a little pink house league team in Gilbert, and those girls are now juniors and seniors in our Kachinas program. And it's just incredible to talk to them about college now and see the growth that they've made over the last 6 years. So I'm really proud of that. We just volunteered with a Learn to Play, or try hockey for free actually, with the Titans and AZ Ice Arcadia, and that was incredible. Our girls, they're consistently reminded of why they love hockey, seeing the younger ones. And for me, I love the ability to grow girls hockey and make sure that when you go to a rink, it's not like, oh, there's one girl. It's like, wow, there's a lot of girls here, and that's exciting. So.
Well, I talked to Lindsay Fry a little bit about the Kachinas program and the growth, and one of the things, not only with Kachinas, but with small fries and stuff like that, is the fact that there's so many girls that are giving back. Okay, I was out at Behind the Mask and had a couple of your girls that I visited with there, and they were talking about how nice it is to be out in the community and see a lot of girls jumping in. I'm guessing that's the same for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting for me. My job with the Kachinas is working with coaches and getting more coaches involved, and then also helping coaches evolve as coaches. So get them to become better coaches and kind of be that role model. So for me, every time we have a girl that wants to coach, it's absolutely incredible. Some of our high school girls are involved, which is amazing, and then our GCU girls are involved, the ASU girls are involved. We really come together as a hockey community off the ice in that way, or on the ice.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to get a lot of ice time, obviously. It's hard to get a lot of games because you only have what you have, right? But having the girls involved and doing other things like coaching gets them some more ice time, and I'm sure helps make them better as well.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, there's always the philosophy of if you can teach it, then you become better at it.
Yeah.
So teaching the concepts to the younger ones, for them, it helps them also not get burnt out with going practice after practice in between games, and just that reminder of why you love hockey. Seeing a little 5-year-old be beaming and so excited about it, it's hard to not like hockey and not love it and not remember the reason that you play. So.
All right, so let's talk in the next segment about your team. But before we talk about your team, tell me about your coaching staff, because what I think is really unique about women's hockey as well is that you guys share people all over the place, don't you? I mean, you had Lindsay Fry on your staff last year. You have somebody new on your staff that everybody's familiar with here in the Valley.
Yeah, so bringing back this year, we have Kelsey Atkinson again. She helped us start the program. She's our primarily goalie coach, but also one of our assistant coaches. Erin Kane is back for another season, and she works with us at Kachinas. And then Casey McGinley. She came to me and she said she'd really like to learn from me as a coach and be able to develop, and it's been amazing having her. She's such a hard worker on and off the ice, and now we have this great coaching staff of people who are all in. Lindsay was amazing last year, and she'll still be jumping on the ice every once in a blue to make sure she's still involved because she does love it, but Kachinas definitely took a little bigger role for her. But we're so excited about the staff that we do have this year because the girls have a little bit of different from each of us. And that's really good.
All right, let's take one quick break. Let's come back and let's talk about the girls behind us and what you have going up to Colorado and building on.
Sounds good.
Behind the Mask Hockey Shop, celebrating 25 years of exceptional service to the Arizona hockey community, offering the top brands and an educated staff of hockey players to help you choose the right gear for you. Visit any one of our 3 Valley locations or check us out online at behindthemask.com.
Welcome back in, hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. It's another Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest on location here at beautiful Grand Canyon University. I always enjoy coming out here because this campus changes every day.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, you come out here, you see something, you go, where'd that come from, right? So tell me, before we start talking about your team, tell me about life at Grand Canyon. What's it like here?
Well, it's absolutely beautiful. I don't know how you came in, but if you're walking through campus, there's always some kind of activity going on, which is so much fun. Like we talked about earlier, we have this brand new roller rink, and we're really excited to utilize it. And it's just a beautiful campus. Like I said, there's always something happening. We have karaoke going on. We have a bowling alley on campus. So it's really not a hard campus to sell.
So the campus is easy to sell, but talk about women's hockey at GCU and the players that you have on this roster. Were they hard to get?
We always work really hard at recruiting. That's something I'm very proud of. But our university speaks for itself. So we have this great opportunity with Discover GCU, where players, if they are eligible to make it, and any student, if they're eligible to the university, they can come down and have a visit. So they come down and get to have student life, and that's such a great recruiting tool. So
sure it is.
most of these girls were able to do that and come down, see how campus is, get to do it, get to meet a couple of players, and get to know our campus through a student's eyes. So it's an incredible opportunity that we have with that. Our freshmen are great. Our returners are great. We're very lucky.
All right, let's start at the top, the ones that are coming back for you, the upperclassmen. Tell me a little bit about who they are and what they mean to your program.
Yeah, so we have one senior this year. Her name's Kylie Kramer. She's been with us since the first year, so it's really
and
exciting.
anybody that knows Grand Canyon hockey knows the Kramer name,
yes,
right?
Yes, the Kramers. So she's returning for us, and we have her back on defense again this year. So I think she'll really perform for us on the point. She was able to put up a goal this past weekend on the power play, which was a great little goal. So we're really excited to have her back. Our juniors, we have Emily Martino, Tara Wasser, and Tuesday Chavez, and two of those three are our captains. And we're really lucky to have them as well. I mean, they're just very bought into our culture since they've been here since the first year, those four.
Right.
And they've really been a part of forming what we have here. So it's really exciting to have them. We have a ton of our sophomores back, which we're really excited about them. They're performing at high levels. They're working hard. As you can see here, they're all bought in because it's a warm day and they're just working hard right now. And then we have 13 freshmen. So this is our first year actually that our freshman class is not bigger than our returning class, which is really exciting for our culture portion.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the girls. Where does the strength lie in this team?
Gosh, it's really hard on the ice. It's hard because we have four lines that I feel confident can roll through other teams. If you saw on Saturday and Friday night against ASU, and except special teams, we rolled four lines. And all four lines were able to compete against ASU, and I would anticipate them being able to compete against other teams that we play against as well. So that's really exciting. Our defense has been a strong suit for us since the beginning, so we're really lucky there too, and we're working really hard on all those things too.
So you like to build, as any coach, I'm sure, from the goal out. If you can stop the puck, if you can keep the other team from scoring, it gives you some opportunities to have puck possession and score some goals and win games, not having to win them with 5 or 6 or 7 goals. So tell me a little bit about the goaltenders.
So we have Grace. We have one goalie this year, and actually Kirsten is our backup goalie, Oderman. She's played goalie in the past, so she actually plays out and prefers to play out. But in the case that we need her, we do have her available to us. So Grace will be our primary goalie this year. We're really excited about her being in net. She's put a ton of work in over the last 2 years, and we're really proud of that. Between her and our goalie coach, Kelsey Atkinson, we're confident with her. So.
Okay, so now we talk schedule, right? I mean, it's always brutally tough for you guys because you just have ASU within, an ear's shout, I guess, of you. But you got to go on the road, and now you're doing one of those road trips again. Tell me about a road trip to Colorado and what that's going to be like for you.
Road trips are fun. I love them. So we'll be driving through the night tonight to Colorado and then playing 2 games tomorrow, which is Friday, and then 1 game Saturday, 1 game Sunday. I think our freshmen are a little shell-shocked about driving through the night, but it's fun. They do freshman karaoke on the bus, and it's just a lot of your traditions come from that really small space that everyone's trapped in, and they have to talk to one another. So I love road trips for that portion and the culture piece that's able to build and how close your team's able to get together. We're really excited to go up to Colorado. We love Colorado. It's a fun place. It's a little bit different temperature than here, so the girls get excited about that. And I mean, on the road, it's fun because everything you're doing is hockey based, right? Like when you're home, there's other factors, but when you're on the road, it's all about hockey. So I'm excited for one of those weekends.
Tell me how difficult it is to play 4 games in 3 days when you're on the road.
I think overall it should be difficult, but like I said, we have 27 players, and I believe in all 27 of them. Okay. So it's not like any of them won't be seeing ice time. We can roll 4 lines, and the ability to do that over 4 games is insane. I don't feel like we don't have the depth to play it. I feel very confident with our team, and I don't foresee it being a problem.
All right, Coach, it's Lopes up, right? And let's talk a little bit about some of the players that you're going to bring on with me. You got a couple that you're going to come on and let them tell their stories to GCU. So who do we got first?
Yeah, so we'll have Tuesday Chavez right here. She's our junior captain. She just waved. And then we also have a freshman, Amanda Mortensen, and she'll jump on. She's from Utah. She was a late add, and she's just really excited to be here. So I think you'll really enjoy talking to them.
All right, fantastic. We look to see Lopes hockey on the ice as soon as possible.
Awesome. Thank you. Lopes up.
Welcome back in, hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. It's Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest, live on the campus at Grand Canyon University. Let me think here. It's Thursday, but I got Tuesday with me. How many times do you hear that, Tuesday Chavez?
A lot.
All right. Well, welcome in, first of all.
Thank you.
I know you guys are getting ready for a big road trip. You're headed up to Colorado.
Yes.
You've been here for a little while now. You're a vet.
Yeah.
Tell us what that's like to make that trip.
It's awesome. It's a really good way for the girls to get closer to each other and just bond and really like form our culture and family all together on the 16-hour bus ride we have.
Okay, so when you came to GCU, there wasn't a deck rink like we're standing next to right now. The campus has changed a lot over the last few years that you've been here. GCU still everything you thought it would be?
Yes, and they just continue to keep growing. It's awesome. I'm so glad I go here, and it's sad that I only have like one more year left. But it's awesome that the freshmen and incoming hockey players can play on the deck, and like it's just so cool.
You know, when I first met you, I think you were here for maybe a tryout camp way back when, and now you're over at AZ Ice Arcadia. Tell me about the home environment there. You had a rivalry series with ASU that didn't turn out the way you wanted to, but you guys played pretty well, right? You did what you wanted to do except win the games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, a few of us coach the Kachinas, which is the girls' hockey organization, and it's just awesome. Like, they come to support us, and it's just really like a family there, and it's home. Like, that's our home rink, and it's just awesome to see youth girls come and support us, and really like we're their inspiration, and so that's really awesome to play at Arcadia.
Okay, so you have the ice hockey. We're outside the deck park rink. Tell me what it's like to be able to have this here. I know it's not ice, but you can still do some stuff out here, can't you?
Yeah, like just now we just practiced face-offs and like power play face-offs, and it's awesome to have this just a walk away from my apartment. We're able to like utilize this on Friday nights and just have a fun time with the team. It's just like so cool that they built this, honestly.
So in the summertime, it's hot out here. It's starting to cool off a little bit now, but what's it like out here when it cools down and the sun goes down? Is it nice?
Yes, I can't wait till it starts cooling down. It's already starting to like feel better out here. Like just now, like it was fun playing out. Like it was doable, you know, like the first couple weeks of school are obviously in the 100-degree weather, and we're not out here. Maybe at night, but now we can come to during the day to come skate, and it's just fun.
All right, let's talk about the team. You lost your first two games against ASU. Like I said, you really played pretty well, though. You outshot them. You did what you wanted to do except score. What do you need to do when you get up to Colorado with 4 games in 3 days? What's Grand Canyon going to do to get some wins?
I think, honestly, we just need to keep up the good energy because 4 games is a lot, and each game is super long. And so I think as long as we have really high energy for each other and like on the ice, off the ice, I think that will just help us through the game, and obviously getting the puck in the net. And we did that, like we outshot ASU, so obviously we were there every time on the shooting opportunities. We just need to put it in the net, and I think this weekend it'll definitely happen. So I just say high energy for sure.
All right, final thing for you, and I'll let you go get ready for your 16-hour bus ride. But tell me a little bit about the growth that you've seen here. You came in, there were a lot of girls that wanted to play here maybe that weren't here yet. Now your classes continue to grow every year. What's it like to have 27 girls now instead of 12 or 14?
It's so awesome that our program is just growing and developing so much. Like when I first started, there was probably like 15 of us. Like it really was slim, and it sucked, you know, like not having a big team and just people there for you, and to know like, hey, are we gonna have a team next year? And now that their team is like full, like I know we're gonna have another team for years to come, and it's just gonna get better. And that's the main thing that I'm excited to see, is just the growth and development, and girls just being 100% bought into the community we've grown here.
All right, you heard it, hockey fans. Tuesday Chavez says that this group is growing. They're getting better, so simply lopes up, right?
Yep, thank you.
Welcome back in, hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. We're still out here at beautiful Grand Canyon University outside the Deck Park rink. I've got Amanda Mortensen with me. She's a freshman here at GCU. Amanda, first of all, welcome in.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
All right, so you tell me you're from Utah.
Yep.
Tell me about growing up playing hockey in Utah. What got you started playing this great game?
It was rough to play hockey in Utah.
Yeah.
I'm from a really small town. We had to travel about a half hour for a rink, and I played on a co-ed hockey team for high school. That was a little rough.
Right. I bet it was.
Yeah, my brother started playing when we were super young, and they just kind of roped me into the sport.
So you got roped into it, obviously, here because you like it now, right? So tell me a little bit about Grand Canyon University. What drew you to this campus and this program?
I really liked the feel of the campus here. I really like the people. I think there's a lot of potential in the skaters here.
Yeah.
I really liked our coaching staff. Rossi was really great. She reached out to me when I was at a camp in Utah, and she just made this school sound like a dream, and I just thought this was where I needed to be for sure.
So when you first got on campus, was that dream a reality?
Definitely. This campus is beautiful. It's great. It's a little hotter than I'm used to, but
Okay, so you're down here in the middle of the desert now, away from the mountains. You're making a road trip now up to Colorado, so you'll see those mountains again here in about 16 hours or so. But tell me a little bit about your thoughts on girls hockey down here and the growth of it. I know you guys get out in the community a lot already. You're seeing the young girls, you're helping coach, you're doing different things. Were you surprised at that, being a desert city like this?
yeah, I was definitely really shocked. I was actually super impressed with the hockey and the support we have for women's hockey here. I'm excited to see where it's going to go. I think girls hockey has come a long way already, and I think it's great that parents and even people who don't have kids or girls playing, that they're coming and showing up to the rinks and supporting all these girls in hockey.
All right, so you've been on campus now for a little while, gotten some classes underway and done all that good stuff. Tell me about the fan support here, the base of student fans that you guys have. I mean, they go crazy for every sport and every activity on campus, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do. They're really supportive, and I really like that about GCU is any sport that they have, that they're going to show up. They drive to the rink, so we have like 20 minutes away, and they're going to show up to our cold ice rink and stand there in the stands and cheer us all on, even if we're losing.
And that's not really fair because they get to go cool off. You guys got to play a game, but tell me a little bit about Arcadia when you got there. It's a, how do we say it? It's a nostalgic type rink. It's small, but it's your home, right? And you guys love it there.
Yeah, I really like the feel of the Ice Arcadia. It was a little different than what I'm used to, but I like that it was our own. I think it's kind of cool that we can kind of help build the rink and make it better.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so last question for you. Tell me a little bit about, you told me you grew up playing boys and girls. What's it like to compete against girls and to coach other girls instead of having to have that mixed group?
I really like playing on an all-women's league. I think it's really difficult playing co-ed hockey.
Right.
It's a totally different game. It's a smarter game playing girls hockey for sure.
All right, Amanda, I appreciate your time. Enjoy that 16-hour bus ride. Try to win some trivia or something on your way up there, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back to wrap things up on Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest. All right, welcome back in, hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. It's another Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest, live from the Ice Den Scottsdale. As I look around this place, Andrew Bell, I see all kinds of action here. I don't know if they ever shut this place down because there's so much need for ice time here. And what a great facility it is here. I'm so happy that we're able to come up here on the second Wednesday of every month. As I said before, the first Wednesday of the month, we're going to be at College Bar, taking care of the ASU crowd and the NCAA stuff. Then we're going to be back up here on the second Wednesday. Then we'll make the road trip down, or I'll make the road trip down to Tucson, and then I'll make it over to Vegas. So we're going to cover the Desert Southwest every Wednesday night on Hockey Talk. Okay, you had a chance to listen to Coach Danny Roy. You've had a chance to see the ACHA team at ASU. You've seen the women's team at ASU and the women's team at GCU. There's a rivalry brewing, the Cross Town Rivalry, Grand Canyon University, ASU. Give me your thoughts on both programs and the rivalry itself.
Well, from someone who graduated from ASU, I think it's really cool because a lot of students on both sides, I've had friends who have attended, just personal friends who have attended GCU,
Sure.
and kind of crossed paths along the way, whether it's through different majors or just being around campuses. I've done a couple stories, obviously, on the GCU women's team. When I was in school, I had a couple GCU basketball stories. But I think it's really cool from a student's perspective, as someone who kind of went through the 4 years between the two schools, graduated from ASU, but the GCU, ASU, their conflicts at the NC2A level, they can't play. In baseball, there's just tension. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at tension between the two sides. But I think if you talk to students on both campuses, they'd love to see a GCU, ASU rivalry in basketball. Obviously not football, but basketball, baseball, softball. There's been rumors, and they've been cleared now to play, not basketball yet, but just play, different sports. So there might be a softball coming up, maybe you have baseball, and it just makes a ton of sense because for a midweek for baseball, a Tuesday midweek game to have a team coming down from Southern California and make a 6-hour drive, it's travel costs and it's dealing with a lot of extra strings attached, whereas you can just drive 15 minutes across the freeway and get over to GCU and play a game. So I know, like I said, there's tension between the two sides. There's different things between the two athletic administrations. I won't get into that stuff, but from the club level of just exactly. That's a conversation for another time, and that's not my expertise to get into that stuff. So, but from the students' perspective, I think it's really cool to see GCU and ASU at it's not the NC2A level, but at the club level and playing hockey, seeing those two schools face off. There's so many familiar faces, players who have played together, whether it be in California, in Arizona. They've just crossed paths at some point, and you see some of that familiarity when they play. The stands are packed. I mean, for the women's game this past weekend and last year as well, they have girls who are coming up, little children coming up, and they have their favorite player. It's really cool because they have their favorite player. I know Tuesday Chavez actually mentioned this to me the other day when I had an interview over at GCU, and I was talking with Natalie and some of her players, but she said with the Kachina, she coaches the 12U, and so they have girls who show up to her game and will have a sign holding up, we love Tuesday or something like that. And that has to be really cool as an athlete, just as, an ACHA player, just to have that and to have girls look up to you, girls and at the men's level as well, have people look up to you and say, I could do that. I could go play, hockey at this level and, play college hockey in my future. Plan college hockey for my future. So I think that's really cool just to have that kind of camaraderie between the two schools because, like I said, you don't see it too much at the NC2A level. On the ice, I think it's pretty heated, although Danny mentioned Coach Roy mentioned that, it's been pretty disciplined, both sides. There hasn't been too many penalties when they play each other. I think that's a credit to both coaching staffs, and both teams just want to play a clean game. But I think the rivalries, not only in the Phoenix area, but you mentioned it, Tucson, Vegas, there's kind of like that Bermuda Triangle of those. And then you throw in NAU, maybe possibly down the line at the ACHA D1 level, if they ever do move up from that D2 level. I think that would be really awesome for the growth of hockey. And the next step is not only having ASU as an NC2A team, but some other team in the Southwest. And I think I've said it before, but I think UNLV might be the closest to making the next step. You'd love to see U of A, GCU, all those schools make a step. I think UNLV is kind of the closest school at this moment to make that next step. But all in all, I think the rivalry, they're making huge strides and huge developments every time they play a series together. And it, like I said, it cuts travel costs. It's another thing that doesn't get taken into consideration. At the NC2A level, they have all those things covered and funded. This is all done through the head coaches of these ACHA teams. It's a lot of work in the off season, a lot of their time, a lot of sleepless nights going over stuff and trying to find a way to make the things as good as they can be for their student athletes. So a lot of credit goes to them, but on top of that, to have support and see fans go out, like I mentioned with the women's team, or GCU students heading out to an ASU GCU game at AZ Ice Arcadia. That's kind of a cool dynamic. And like I said, from someone who graduated from the university, it's something you don't really think about when you think about the NC2A schools, but they really can't cross paths just because of some of the the recent, like I said, tension is what I call it, between the two athletic administrations. So I have that at the club level is it's pretty cool.
All right, so the rivalry started last weekend with the women's teams playing over at AZ Ice Arcadia, as you mentioned. It was a ASU sweep. They continued on their roll with a 6-0 start. This week it starts tomorrow night. We're taping this on Wednesday, so tomorrow night it'll be ASU and GCU D2. Then Friday night it's ASU and ACHA D1. Saturday night it's ASU and GCU D1 as well. So you got all these teams playing. We got the Coyotes playing the Golden Knights, which is whether it's a rivalry yet or not, nobody's sure. But it's definitely proximity-wise, it's going to be pretty vocal, both sides. I got a feeling, and when I look at the Desert Southwest, Andrew, I think, and I look back at this, I thought when I started this 5 years ago, there was nothing like this, right? There was no Vegas, and Vegas was there, but there was no hockey to speak of. Everybody was down, and all of a sudden we got these rivalries building up, and it's so enjoyable. I mean, just to go out and watch an ACHA game like ASU and U of A went into overtime in a shootout a couple of weeks ago, and it's things like that really grow the game, right? So we could pack these arenas and start watching some real good college hockey, even at the ACHA level.
Yeah, I think it's awesome to see the development, the growth of these ACHA programs. And Coach Powers, talking to him about his old club days, obviously the NC2A coach now, but there was no other really club option for hockey. Yeah, it was ASU and U of A. That was kind of just rivalry, and they just butt heads kind of over and over. But he's said it before, club hockey will always be ingrained to the NC2A team because that's where it started. Even the hybrid year, the first year, these guys from the club team are still on that team. They get a chance to see this kind of take off now and become a little bit of a somewhat Southwest hockey mecca here in the Phoenix, Tucson, Vegas area, the whole state, and like you said, the Desert Southwest, which is what you're trying to appeal to. So, I think the growth at the club level is huge, and then it trickles down. It's that domino effect that goes down into the youth levels. You see it just behind us, just in front of us here at the Scottsdale, here at the Ice Den. So, I talked about it at the women's level as well. Talking to players and coaches alike from both sides, they said there's nothing like that. And coaching-wise, there was never this many female coaches, this many inspirational, motivational female coaches who are kind of, helping this next generation of players and showing them that they can play at the next level and be really strong hockey players strong people both on and off the ice. And I think that's really, really great to see, and it starts with the club level, has that trickle-down effect, and then its players want to go, well, not only the ACHA, I don't only want to play for an ACHA program, I want to go to an NC2A program. Then there's more talks of, well, this kid came from Arizona. Now maybe we should give more thought to hockey. Of course, money always plays a factor too, and it depends on the athletic departments. But the ACHA and kind of the growth that you're seeing at this level between both ASU, GCU, all the schools that we've mentioned is really great to see.
All right, so I think we've kind of capsulized everything that's been going on in hockey in the Desert Southwest. The beauty of this is that we're going to be back next week. I'm going to give you the week off because I can't make you go to Tucson being an ASU grad. I'll go down there. I can go down there. I can do it. But we're going to be down in Tucson. We're going to be talking U of A hockey as they start up their home schedule next Thursday. So Wednesday night we'll be, I believe, out at Lowe's Ventana Canyon to doing a show up there. Our goal is to get back to the live part of it. So we're hoping that we're going to work the bugs out of things, and we're going to be doing a live show, which will be a lot more fun, I believe, and get a live audience in with us as well. So as we continue to develop Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest, stick with us. Join us and take care of all of our sponsors as well. We've got the good friends over at College Bar, our friends here at the Ice Den, Scottsdale and Chandler. We also have our friends at Behind the Mask over at OxyPow, at M-Drive. Our ACHA program at both the University of Arizona and ASU are on board with us this year. So we'll have some ticket giveaways for U of A stuff. So stick with us. Every Wednesday night we're going to do it live, and then have it up in a day or two on the website. YouTube, you'll be able to follow us at Icetime SW, or simply go to the website at IcetimeHockeySW.com. Long day, long week, even busier weekend coming up. Andrew Bell, thanks for stepping in as always. We'll be back with you next week, and we'll roll.
Definitely, yeah. Like I said, thank you so much for having me. It should be another fun weekend. Started last weekend with, it couldn't have been, I mean, this is my paradise. This is the best time of year. I know October is the time for, and it sounds like, I work for the Arizona Diamondbacks as well. I know October is a great time for baseball, but for me, hockey part of the season, it was paradise last week between NHL starting up and going into college hockey, and it's just going to continue to roll. So it's the best time of the year for the next 6 months, or however it carries us through and into the springtime. So it should be fun. I'm looking forward to another fun season of hockey in the Desert Southwest and all over the place. So.
All right, so all the good things happening here. We'll shout out one last time to the Arizona State Sun Devil NCAA team, who's currently in Mankato, Minnesota. I don't want to tell them this too loudly, but I hope they brought their winter clothes because there's a big snowstorm bearing down on Saturday for Mankato, Minnesota. I'm a Minnesota native. I know what those are like. The October ones are powerful. The January ones are powerful, and the March ones are powerful. So don't take them lightly, folks. Be safe out there, and good luck, Sun Devils.